What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Patman here. We have a ton of new Halo Infinite details to go over with you guys. This is from a community update blog post from 343 themselves, but if you guys stick around to the very end of the video, I will get into some new news that's basically been leaked but backed up by several sources, and all the sources, including the 343 blog post, will be linked in the description down below. Stick around to the end because some of the stuff is really exciting for Halo Infinite multiplayer news. Now, before we get into the blog post, I just want to say to you guys, thank you so much for an amazing July. The most growth I've ever experienced on YouTube, so welcome all you new people. I just wanted to give you guys some time, give you guys a shout out. Thank you so much for the support as of late. If you guys do enjoy this video, want to support the channel and the content, hit that like button. It does a lot more than you think. Click that subscribe button too. We are almost to my end of year 3,000 sub goal in the channel if you guys want to help me get there and stay up to date on all the latest happenings in the world of Halo. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think of this news after watching the video. Without further ado, let's get started. So 343 did a Q&A section in this blog post, and the very first thing, the thing on everybody's minds that's been complaining mostly about Halo Infinite, is the questions about the graphics and visuals, and here is what 343 had to say. First, we want to acknowledge that yes, we've heard the feedback coming from parts of the community regarding the visuals in Halo Infinite campaign demo. While we see and hear far more positive than negative, we do want to share a bit more context. From our perspective, there are two key areas being debated around the community: overall art style and visual fidelity. Based on our learnings from Halo 4 and 5 and Halo Wars 2, along with strong community feedback, we decided to shift back towards the legacy aesthetics that defined the original trilogy. With Halo Infinite, we're returning to a more classic art style, which was a key message going back to the very first reveal that garnered enthusiastic and positive responses. They're talking about the Slipspace Engine trailer, of course. This translates to a more vibrant palette, cleaner models, and objects with less noise, though it does mean less detail. While we appreciate this may not be everyone's personal preference, we stand by this decision and are happy to see it resonating with so many fans around the world. Now that's talking about the art style. That's not to talk about the graphical fidelity. We're about to get into that. Now, to continue the blog by saying the second theme being discussed involves visual fidelity. Negative feedback in this area includes comments around characters and objects appearing flat, simplistic, and plastic-like. Lighting feels dull and flat, and object pop-ins. We've read your comments, we've seen the homemade examples of retouched content, and yes, we've even heard Digital Foundry's assessments. In many ways, we are in agreement here. We do have work to do to address some of these areas and raise the level of fidelity and overall presentation for the final game. The build we used to run the campaign demo was a work in progress from several weeks ago, with a variety of graphical elements and game systems still being finished and polished. Some of the feedback was expected and speaks to areas already in progress. Other aspects of the feedback have brought new opportunities and considerations to light that the team is taking very seriously and working to assess. We don't have firm answers or outcomes to share yet, but the team is working as quickly as possible on plans to address some of the feedback around detail, clarity, and overall fidelity. The team is committed and focused on making sure we have a beautiful world for players to explore when we launch. Now, before we move on to the next section of the blog post, I just want to say I love this. Thank you, 343. Thank you for addressing this. Thank you for coming out and saying something, because being silent would have probably been the worst thing for the community. I am on the side, you guys have known if you watch my previous videos. Graphics, yes, they need to be worked on, but they're not all important to me. The gameplay looks amazing. That is what I care about more. However, we finally know how old this build was. People can finally freaking stop with the rumors saying, oh, it's from last year, oh, it's from January. No, it is several weeks old according to 343, and that could be, maybe a few weeks ago, back when they were supposed to show it off. This could be the E3 build. This could be a couple months. I wouldn't expect to be more than a few months old. So we know how far behind that build is. And then on top of that, when they said a variety of graphical elements and game systems were still being finished and polished, is a huge sigh of relief. Things like ambient occlusion, things like the lighting, things like shadows, things like draw distance and the pop-ins, and obviously ray tracing that's coming post-launch. All that stuff will make a huge difference on this game, guys. A huge difference. So it is really good for them to say that. Now, the next thing that they talked about was the multiplayer beta or flighting program. so the Xbox Games Showcase was only meant to focus on Infinite's campaign. 343 says, however, they can't blame us for being very curious about the multiplayer experience. As Chris Lee mentioned in his blog post which accompanied the demo last week, our original plans for large-scale flighting aren't where we originally intended, in large part due to the challenges of working from home during the COVID-19 pandemic. At this time, we're honestly not sure what is going to be possible in terms of flighting, but we still hope to have an opportunity for broader public hands-on testing before release. And as we've previously stated, we'll be relying on flighting and continued feedback and community partnership well beyond launch as we grow and evolve the game together. Personally, guys, I really think that a flight before launch is absolutely necessary for valuable feedback. I really hope they find a way to do this, whether it's a small scale or large scale one, I don't care. There needs to be some sort of flight. I honestly would rather than push the game back for a month if they had to, and send out a flight to the public and let us test it to get some valuable feedback. I know that's probably not going to happen. This game is not getting delayed because it has to launch with the Series X, and Microsoft probably isn't going to delay their new system just for Halo, even though Halo really is the thing that's going to be pushing this new console. We'll have to just wait and see, guys, but that is my opinion on that. Halo can definitely not afford to have another subpar launch. If Halo struggles, Xbox struggles. They are one and the same, and this is huge for the launch of the Series X, so I really do think it has to be perfect. The next question was, what happened to Cortana, The Created, Blue Team, Fireteam Osiris, Lasky, UNSC Infinity, Halsey, Arbiter, and Atriox? What is the Harbinger? Basically, all 343 had to say for this was, play the game, and you guys will know we don't want to do any kind of story spoilers, so we'll have to wait and see. Next thing is really important for content creators like me. How do you pronounce Escharum? And it's pronounced Gee, thanks 343. The next important thing that I wanted to point out was people asked, will we get a chance to play that campaign demo? Yes, 343 says, when the game comes out, you'll be able to play this space and take out the banished anti-aircraft turrets. Next question up was, are there kill barriers or return to battlefield zones in the campaign? And this one's really important. So 343 says, since we want to allow players to explore and get creative with their engagements, we've tried to reduce these as much as possible in Halo Infinite. There will always be some exceptions, but usually, if you can see it, you should be able to go there, which is awesome. Open world, love it. Next thing up, what about split screen and co-op? Campaign will support 2-player split screen and online 4-player co-op. Yes, you can play on your couch with a friend. No word yet on what multiplayer features, but a lot of people are expecting 4-player split screen for multiplayer. We don't have that confirmed yet, so we don't know. Next question is there a battle rifle in Halo Infinite? I don't see one in the campaign demo. Answer is yes. I don't even have to look at it. From 343, the answer. Yes, the BR-75 actually is what it is coming in Halo Infinite. I will show you guys it right here on the screen from the 1-minute gameplay trailer that came out after the 8-minute demo. Listen up, all my classic Magnum classic shotgun fans, because I got bad news for you. So, the new MK50 Sidekick and CQS-48 Bulldog look cool. Will there be other pistols or shotguns in the game? 343 says, we're excited to build on Halo's legacy sandbox while also introducing new components to further evolve and expand gameplay experiences. The Sidekick and Bulldog are brand new weapons that bring something different for players to sink their teeth into. The Sidekick is a true sidearm pistol that is lightning fast to draw and fire, truly excelling as a reliable backup when your primary weapon is depleted and a brute is bearing down on you. Compared to previous titles, this weapon is closest to Halo 2's version of the Magnum. The Bulldog is a pump-action shotgun that is punchy and decently accurate, trading slightly lower damage, 12 gauge versus 8 gauge, for a much higher rate of fire. Players will be better equipped to dispatch multiple targets quickly, and the Bulldog provides more playstyle opportunities for the shotgun aficionados. There are additional variants of each of these, but the classic Magnum and tactical shotgun aren't currently featured in Halo Infinite. Now, as we look beyond launch, we have robust plans to continue evolving the game, which will include further additions to Halo Infinite sandbox. We understand some players won't be thrilled over the prospects of different pistols and shotguns, but we encourage you to keep an open mind, and we look forward to everyone getting hands-on perspective with these new weapons when the time comes. Here's the Patman take on that. I feel for you guys. I feel for the people who really want the classic stuff back in the game. People don't want stuff to be removed. They don't mind new weapons being added as long as the old stuff comes back. We've been here before in Halo, guys. They removed the Spanker in Halo 5, brought it back. They removed the AR in Halo 2, never brought it back, replaced it with the battle rifle. They removed the Covenant carbine in Halo Reach and the beam rifle and replaced them with the needle rifle and the focus rifle respectively. So I'm keeping an open mind. I think the game looks extremely fun, and that's all I care about. The guns are fun, I have fun. Now, if they replace things more iconic, there are weapons that are just untouchables to me. Something like the AR is untouchable. Something like the battle rifle or the energy sword. Those should be in a Halo game. However, I understand this because, first of all, the Magnum and the shotgun have all seen changes throughout the series. Different iterations, especially the Magnum, and I kind of feel more for the Magnum not being there because that's a starting weapon in some Halos. Halo 5, it's a starting weapon, you know, after they nerfed the BR into Oblivion. Halo CE, that is a starting weapon. So, you know, I get it. I get those arguments, I really do. But let's not, you know, they basically confirmed stuff is coming back post-launch. They're going to add classic weapons back in there, so it's going to be a game that lasts 10 years. We're going to see a bunch of weapons added. And we also know that variants are now coming back. They said that the Bulldog and the Sidekick would have variants of these weapons. Let's just hope it's not overcrowded like Halo 5's variants. Hopefully they keep it fairly simplistic and maybe just add like different attachments to these guns. Next thing we have up is how will the new grapple hook work in multiplayer? Equipment items like the grapple shot function differently in multiplayer and will be available as items that can be picked up on the map. Now, the next question is, we've heard 4K 60 frames. Is that the best you can do, even on PC? 343 says, to clarify, up to 4K 60 frames is our target for our expansive campaign experience on Xbox Series X. As PC players expect, there will be plenty of settings that you could tweak to create the experience that you want, and we'll have even more details on that in the coming months. So I think it's really interesting to say that they said up to 4K 60 frames for the open world Halo campaign. Honestly, up to 4K 60 frames means to me it should be locked at 60 frames, but to maintain that 60 frames, they're going to have scaled resolution areas where the resolution is basically dynamic and changing, but that could go up to 4K. We'll touch more on what multiplayer could feature later in the video, like I said, for the big news at the end. Now, speaking of PC, is it true Halo Infinite will be coming to Steam? 343 says yes, Halo Infinite will be available on PC via Xbox Game Pass for PC, the Microsoft Store, and Steam, in addition to Xbox Series X and the entire Xbox One family of consoles. Next thing up, we have the question of, will difficulty settings such as easy, normal, heroic, and legendary still exist in this expansive campaign? And 343 says yes, just like previous Halos, you'll be able to choose your preferred difficulty in the menu before beginning your adventure, which is interesting because I thought maybe with the open world and how the tech map showed, maybe certain areas were harder than others, and it kind of scaled based on the upgrades you had or something like that. But, you know, that's good to know that that's how it's going to work. You'll choose your difficulty before you start the campaign, and that's what the missions will be. Next, we have who created the music in the campaign demo. 343 says that they are excited to welcome 3 new composers to the Halo family who will all be contributing to an amazing soundtrack for Halo Infinite. I agree. Love the music so far. It was amazing. Probably my favorite part about the gameplay trailer. So much of what we heard in the demo comes from Gareth Coker, who actually did the Set a Fire in Your Heart track, among other things, in that demo. He is famous from his Ori work, Ori in the Blind Forest, and Ori in the Will of the Wisp. I can't ever pronounce Wisp right, but whatever. Sounds weird coming out of my mouth, but he worked on those games and those soundtracks. He is the 3rd composer to join Halo Infinite. Now, the final thing I wanted to touch on is the list of confirmed aspects for Halo Infinite that 343 goes down. They said, in-universe timing. It follows the Master Chief story sometime after Halo 5 Guardians conclusion. Pro Team. We've assembled an internal pro team for Halo Infinite. Split screen. Yes, split screen is confirmed. We talked about that earlier. LAN. Halo Infinite will support LAN. Back in Black. Black undersuits will be in the game. Now, microtransactions. I fully expect these to be in the game, but all 343 has said is that Halo Infinite will not include real money loot boxes. We're going to touch on this in a little bit. This is part of the multiplayer news that I have for you guys coming up in just a little bit. So, player customization. If you like the level of armor customization options in Halo Reach, you will be pleased. SR-152, people who made max rank in Halo 5. If you hit that in Halo 5, you will receive a token of appreciation in Halo Infinite. And finally, Forge. The famous editing tool will of course be in Halo Infinite and will have undo and redo buttons, which is a first time thing for Forge. Now I want to thank my buddy Max Dies for bringing this to my attention. This is the big news, guys. This is big for multiplayer. So he sent me this link, and of course, keeping in line with the Halo Infinite theme of leaking stuff and having news through toys, this is a toy website overseas in the UK. So it is actually called Smith's Toys. And the ad they had basically showing off the Series X, you know, confirming all the specs of the Series X. It looked like an official Microsoft thing. And then they had details on Halo Infinite. And people were quick enough to grab screenshots of this because they actually took this down not much later because they probably heard from Microsoft like, yo, we're not talking about multiplayer yet. But if you guys have been around the channel, somebody who leaks stuff all the time, name is Cloburl. I trust what he says. He's been right almost every single time he's said something, so I pay attention when he does this. We have the screen cap here on screen from the website, but he also adds to this. And he says, since everyone is covering this topic, I might just go ahead and say something as well. Halo Infinite multiplayer will be free to play, guys. It will be free to play. I think this is honestly a good thing. It'll bring more players to the series. Say what you want about it. That's what it's going to be. You can't do anything about it. It is launching with the game, though. 343 has confirmed that. This is not going to launch, you know, separately later or anything like that. Now, Arena aims for 120 frames per second on Xbox Series X, which is huge for multiplayer. To have 120 frames is a first time thing, obviously, for a console. That is something, obviously, PC players are used to going well above that. But that is huge for a system. Now, Battle Pass system, that will be implemented. So we have an idea what kind of microtransaction system will be in Halo Infinite. This is not a shocker to me, considering what they've done with MCC so far. Customization options completely new to Halo. Now this is exciting. Feel free to speculate in the comments down below what this could mean. Could it mean an emblem editor? Could it mean maybe weapon charms, clan tags etched into your guns? Who knows what other kind of stuff they're including in Halo Infinite, but I cannot wait to see. Maybe main menu customization, music customization. I love all that. He ends it by saying Halo will be huge. Now it is something to note that you will need to have a 120 Hz or higher display to go on ahead and display 120 frames per second. If you don't know how technology works, if you have a 60 Hz TV, you will not be able to see the difference and enjoy the difference in the FPS going above 60. So a lot of the OLED TVs have the 120 frames per second option, especially if you have HDMI 2.1. You're going to need that to take advantage of these frame rates on a console like the Xbox Series X. But that is all I got for you guys. That is the end of the video. Expect a video tomorrow detailing a huge end of month blog post that 343 should be releasing later today about the MCC development updates, including an update on Halo 3 ODST and ODST Firefight and the flighting process, where they are with that right now. If you guys are still here and you're interested, I will be streaming later today on Twitch trying to get the Beach Life nameplate at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They are doing a thing where if you match against grassroots partners, you will get access to this nameplate from MCC, and I'm going to try to go for that. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support once again. I hope to catch you guys on either a previous video of mine or a future video of mine. And until that time comes, I am your boy Patman, and I am out.